This is John News Prime with me, Ernest Minu. In this bulletin, Buffer Stock Company Limited assures senior high schools will not shut down over the shortages of food as it announces the release of 150 million Ghana cedis to suppliers.
Threatening to close down the senior high schools.
This rumor of the maybe closing down of schools is not going to happen today. It won't happen tomorrow. It won't happen forever.
Meanwhile, it announced investigations into the alleged distribution of expired food at Savulugu Senior High School following a protest by the students.
We have just been notified about Savulugu, and we have sent our regional manager, Northern Regional Manager of Buffer Stock, and the Quality Control Officer to go there and get first-hand information.
Also in this package,
they do sun winning and deplete the whole buffer that we've put here to protect the lake.
Yes.
That gives about 1.5 million people in Accra water. Do you know what you are doing?
Honorable Minister,
let
me come in.
We'll tell you how illegal miners intrude a heavily guarded buffer zone of the Wager water treatment plant to cut away several tracks of sand and stones, allegedly with the support of the MCE and chiefs in the area.
Oh, yes, assembly now me call you know, and permission passage, but on no mame letter, and notice me, and notice.
Without sending it to me, and you said I've received it, go and bring a copy that my office has stamped. Stop it.
We have details as a joint task force led by the Sanitation and Water Resources Minister seizes an excavator used for the illegal act right before military officers. Also here on Joy News Prime, growing agitations with threats of violence spreading across the country as nominations close for the NPP's polling station elections.
Have received a lot of petitions from some of the constituencies and concerns. Like we don't get forms, we are looking for forms and stuff.
We are live in Yendi for the very latest. Also here, victims and survivors of the January 20 disaster at Apiati demand timelines for the completion of the new homes as the rainy season approaches. We are live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV 144. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Stay tuned in for details. Hello again, I'm Ernest Minu. Thanks for choosing us. The Buffer Stock Company Limited has assured senior high schools across the country will not shut down over the shortage of food. There have been concerns raised by head teachers, various teacher unions about the inadequate supply of food hampering the smooth running of the schools. The minority in Parliament alleges government owes the Buffer Stock Company about 300 million Ghana cedis. Its spokesperson on the Education Committee, Peter Nochukotri, fears schools may have to shut down if the situation is not fixed.
That at the beginning of the term, Charles complained that there was no food in the school. So my information is that quickly some food items were sent to the schools, but it was believed that that will not last for long. This is because the main supplier of food items, that is the Buffer Stock, is owed over 300 million Ghana cedis. And suppliers to the company are no longer ready to do so because they are complaining that their capital has been locked up by government. So it is possible and it is true that there's food shortage going to hit the schools this week.
So the Committee on Education, are you taking a keen interest in this matter?
Some of the issues are very difficult to go into it. You remember last time the Charles threatened to close down the senior high schools, and same is going to happen. The food items is not the only issue. Release of funds for the purchase of perishable items and petty things that help administer the schools are also not being released to them. So the issue is not just about food items. There's more to it. Funds are not available for them to buy perishable items and other things that they need to immediately keep the schools running.
The Student Representative Council of Second Cycle Institutions in the Ashanti region has added its voice to calls for government to supply food to the schools. At a news conference, the student leaders observed the shortage of food is hampering academic work. Emmanuel Bright-Kweku has more in the following report.
Delayed supply of non-perishable food items and funds to second cycle institutions remains a major challenge denting the effective implementation of government's free senior high school policy. Delayed release of funds has led to shortage in food supplies, affecting the menu in most schools. President of the Ashanti Regional SRC, Delancey Ama Ayache, stressed a stringent monitoring and supervision of supplies would ensure effective and efficient running of the free SHS policy.
Under the current arrangement of the free SHS policy, the role of Buffer Stock Company in the supply of non-perishable foods to schools has become so crucial. The call of government to ensure the timely release of food in the right quantities to our schools. Our schools have experienced a number of shortages in the supply in the course of previous semesters, making it difficult to follow the menu.
The 25th anniversary launch by the Ashanti Regional SRC brought home over 300 SRC executives from 90 senior high schools across the region. The event aimed at briefing participants on activities earmarked for the association's Silver Jubilee Anniversary celebration and a dialogue on issues plaguing most senior high schools. Addressing the participants, Ms. Ayache noted contributions from parent-teacher associations stalled due to the rollout of free SHS. This, she says, has affected developmental projects which could be absorbed by the association.
The commendable free SHS policy, with its attendant restrictions on the PTA, has gradually brought the valuable contributions of PTA to a halt. This has affected our schools and the kind of support they used to enjoy.
That's Emmanuel Bright-Kweku's report, but the Buffer Stock Company says schools will not shut down over the shortage of food. It has also denied claims that government owes the company up to 300 million Ghana cedis. CEO Hanan Abdul Wahab, however, tells Shaw News 130 million cedis has been released to suppliers to address the situation.
Yeah, it's the issue of cash flow, which as at last week we have disbursed 130 million Ghana cedis to the suppliers. So the fear of headmasters of inadequate food in their stores or warehouses would be sorted out soon, because most of the chairs have cleared on Friday. So suppliers started their procurement and distribution today, Monday. We have received some signals from other parts of the country that suppliers are.
The 130 is for all schools across the country or specific areas? So
you know, with our system, what happens is that we receive invoices in badges and also send the invoices to Ministry of Education also in badges. Okay. So a supplier, there is 80% probability that in every batch we have suppliers representing every batch. So once we are paying a particular batch, it cuts across. So most suppliers get paid within that particular, payment. So with this 130 million, almost all the suppliers have gotten some money to go in there and then continue with the supplies. And so schools across the country can expect some food? Yes, for sure. Yes. But you say some money, it means that we still owe them. Exactly. How much? The point is that I want you to, understand this. As we speak, every day invoices keep on coming because suppliers are on the ground supplying, despite challenges of not being paid in time. The suppliers are so at every point in time, government will always owe suppliers. That's the reality. Even when you clear the debt today, tomorrow new invoices will come. So that is how the system works, and that makes it better than reverting back to the schools where headmasters will not be able to go to the market and credit food items from the market because of lack of guarantee. You understand? Yeah. Is it true that government owes you 300 million? No. It's not true? It's not true. Government owes you more? It's not true. Not more, but it's not true. But like I said, government has released 130 million Ghana cedis last week, which we have disbursed. And from now to the end of the week, you would hear, the schools will confirm to you of availability of food.
Meanwhile, the company says it has commenced investigations into the alleged distribution of expired food at the Savelugu Senior High School. The student boycotted school today and moved to the chief's palace to accuse school authorities of feeding them with expired milk and tinned fish. CEO of the Buffer Stock Company, Hanan Abdul Wahab, says the issue is being investigated.
You see, we have a system. We have a whole department called the Food Safety Department. Before any supplier goes to supply any food item, it has to be checked by this department. We have the food safety, where we have quality control officers working under that particular, department. I have also been informed or notified about this Savelugu situation, which we are going to investigate it. But it could be that I'm not saying that for certainty, but it could be that this is as a result of an old stock that the school has, because quality control, quality checks, it's a shared responsibility between the supplier and the consumer. So headmasters are encouraged to also check on quality expiration period before they receive, and relate it to the semester or the academic year. Once the food the food item will expire before the end of the academic year or the semester, they are supposed to reject it or take a quantity that can sustain them before it expires. So it's a shared responsibility. We have just been notified about Savelugu, and we have sent our regional manager, Northern Regional Manager of Buffer Stock, and the Quality Control Officer to go there and get first-hand information about the situation.
If it is established that it's a lapse on your part, and I'm talking of the Quality Control Department of Buffer Stock Company, for instance, what happens? Or if it's a failure on the part of the supplier, for instance?
I am involved greatly in the distribution of milk this academic year. Okay. And I've had meetings, because of this issue of Nestle. A new company has come. We had some discussions, and we have inspected, and the quality, the expiration date is perfect. You understand? So it cannot be what we have just supplied a week ago. So all the same, we are still doing our investigation.
Kwesi Kwarteng is Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Education, and he joins us via Zoom for more on this. Mr. Kwarteng, thank you for the time you're joining us from. The question the teacher unions especially are asking, why do you fix a date for reopening of schools when you know that the buffer stock is not in the position to adequately resource them and give them the quantities of food that will last them in school?
Well, thank you very much. The supply of foods on every day is not an event, it's a process. And of course, if you look at buffer stock, for instance, the arrangement, there are about at least 18 food items, which is supplied and stocked and restocked and restocked. So at every point, there are deliveries or supplies to the various schools. And then one of them is when usually schools are about to be open or is open. And so, the question about where and when supplies will be relevant or will be needed is that when within the stores of the school such supplies are needed, because it is not like it is done within a specific period. What happens when it is also finished? Certainly it has to be restocked, and that is usually the arrangement of the suppliers, between the suppliers and the buffer stock, where the suppliers deliver the goods or the food items to the schools. After that, file their claims with buffer stock, and the buffer stock processes goes through the Ministry of Education to Ministry of Finance, and those claims are paid, and the process is recycled at every point. For instance, if you look at food items like perishables, which is about 30% of within the food distribution chain to the various secondary schools, you are unable to say that those supplies should go, let's say, en masse or en bloc, a week or two to school reopen. At every point, head teachers will have to need those basic items: onions, tomatoes, frozen foods. They are all items that you need every day. So at every point where it becomes necessary, that is when the supplies is done, whether it's being done at the school level or at buffer stock level.
But that is what the process has been, except that this time the head teachers have said it is woefully inadequate, which is why it is in the news this time round.
I am yet to see a school where those supplies are woefully inadequate. Of course, that is also not to dispute the fact that it could be possible. I have personally gone to Buffer Stock, and from 7th of February, when school reopened, they started with their supplies, wild measure of supplies that were being sent or distributed to the schools. But you had about 18 food items. And of course, they admitted that not all the items had hit the school. Some of them you have about 17 food items. Some you have the full 18, some you have about 16 of them that they needed to add. For instance, some sugar, others too, they needed to increase the quantity. So those issues have been there. That's how the system has always been running. And then Buffer Stock promised that they were going to deliver. Of course, if you look at how Charles has also been addressing these issues, I understand them. They need to put a good case to avert any possibilities. It does not necessarily mean that within the present time, there is lack of food or there is a food shortage. You know,
but Mr. Kwarteng, even the Buffer Stock company has admitted the shortages that we're talking about.
I think I just listened to what he was saying. The Buffer Stock, you asked about issues of funding and whether or not
he admits the shortage and says that 130 million cedis has been released for onward to the suppliers for distribution.
No, I'm not sure it would be fair to put words in Gideon because the video that we all played, everyone.
I conducted the interview and I'm very sure of what he says. That is not in dispute at all. The fact that the shortage is not in dispute, Mr. Kwarteng.
Shortage way. You asked about the point, and I'm telling you that yes, we do admit that if you look at the food items, for instance, you've got about 18 food items that Buffer Stock is supposed to send. Not all of them have been distributed. That could not be considered as a shortage. You have the 722 schools. Now, let me put it to you. If indeed there is an issue of shortage, are you suggesting that from morning, afternoon to evening, you have about 722 schools, which translates into about 1.26 million, and there is a general shortage and people are there and nobody is complaining? Are we suggesting that that is the situation that we are in? Yes, there could be genuine issues of delays in the delivery of foods and other things. If we get to know of those schools quickly, an intervention, response, or mechanism will be pressed and we send the schools. But for me, I have always held the position that when there are challenges, and I really even do not get it when people try to link that with free SHS, as though before free SHS, there were no challenges with food supplies in the schools.
Yes. But Mr. Kwarteng, it was definitely not on this large scale. Once free SHS was introduced, the contractual agreement, if you could just allow me to make the point, the contractual agreement between the various schools and the suppliers directly, the suppliers, I mean, was terminated. The contract then moved to the Buffer Stock company. And today, Mr. Wahab told me that they had to re-engage some of these suppliers at their level. And so it is legitimate when people do the link.
Are you able to pinpoint to me just 5 schools that Joy FM or Joy went and they realized there were shortages? Quickly, we'll press the rapid response mechanism and send the schools there. That's what I'm saying.
If you do not believe the words of the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools, that is another matter. If you also do not believe the teacher unions that have spoken to us, in fact, today in Savelugu as we speak, the students have been rioting, and as part of the complaint, beyond the issue of the expired food, which they are complaining about, which I'll have you speak on, they also claim that the food being given them is woefully inadequate. So the situation is real, Mr. Kwarteng.
Expired food is not the same as food shortage.
I have made that distinction. I've said that it's also part of the issues they raise.
You, Alice, be fair to me when you also ask a question so that I'll also be able to answer.
Just go ahead, sir.
Now, you made a claim that Charles made a concern. Of course, I mean, they were proactive and they gave a word of caution that food items should be delivered timeously. The fact that somebody said food items should be delivered timeously does not necessarily mean that there is a shortage. That should also be made clear. Also, Charles said, and I read it from your screen when I joined your Zoom line, you said food items should be delivered timeously. It cannot be construed as saying there is food shortage. Now, on the issue about milks expired, yes, we have gotten in touch with the headmaster at Savelugu. And indeed, let me even sing the irony of it. I spoke to Evans this evening, and Evans was like, well, there is even food shortage in Savelugu. Is one of the bases why people went on this rampant. And I have a very logical question to ask. Indeed, on one side, you claim there is food shortage. So how did they even get the milk in the first place if there was shortage for it to have been expired? The point is that, yes, on the issue about the milk, we spoke to the headmaster. the headmaster is saying that yes, I think it was one of the old stocks and they realized it and quickly replaced it. Yes, it can happen. It's unfortunate. Committee, how do you call it? The regional education directorate is investigation. I'm sure all consequential decisions will be made. But I really do not get this whole connection and the sensationalization of the issue. There is food shortage. Yes, every day there is food shortage. We hear about those things. But most times, students are able to be in the school for a number of months, 3-4 months, and schools do not get closed down. So what do you think they feed on? I really think these things do not help. Of course, we are not denying outrightly, but you will help us more as a media when you also go to the various schools, list those schools that you feel or you've heard their food shortage. And not probably. Well,
Mr. Kwarteng, you don't want to give us your job to do. We cannot do your job for you. But on the issue of the Savelugu Senior High School today, they boycotted the class. At least we know after midday they were not in class. What is being done to make sure that academic activities resume tomorrow?
Okay, so I'm answering from the first side. Yes, you are not supposed to do my job for me, but it is also the responsibility of the media to provide accurate data and not join all manner of speculations.
Well, Mr. Kwarteng, we have reported accurately, and I'm sorry that you're taking this trajectory, but we have reported adequately. In fact, if you read below the screens right now, you see senior high schools will not shut down over food shortage. Inherent in that statement from the buffer stock company is an admission, and I don't think we should be doing a back and forth about this. But thank you very much for speaking to us, Mr. Kwarteng. We're grateful. We'd have to end it here because of time, but thank you for speaking to us. We move on to do some other stories now, and a joint police and military task force led by the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Abnadapa, has uncovered how illegal miners intrude a heavily guarded buffer zone of the Wager water treatment plant. Now, this follows several reports of how the activities of these persons are destroying water bodies, nearly pushing the supply of potable water in the country to crisis levels. Now, this is not even the deployment of military officers to the place could not even stop the sand winners who appeared to have the backing of local authorities from carrying out the activities. Here's the Minister for Sanitation, Cecilia Abnadapa, speaking to my colleague, Manuel Kranting.
So this one, are they going to throw it away or going to use it?
I don't even know where it's going to. They are selling.
But you are confused. Either you are confused or you are lying.
No.
Or you are irresponsible.
I have the legacy.
How can you do this?
I have the legacy.
You are saying you don't know whether they are selling or not. But you know they are going to sell.
I know.
How can they do sand winning and deplete the whole buffer that we've put here to protect the lake?
Yes.
That gives about 1.5 million people in Accra water. Do you know what you are doing?
Honorable Minister.
Let
me come in.
Please, this thing, we must investigate it. Okay. So the driver, please, arrange to dislodge. We will not allow you to take this away.
Honorable, is this just coming to your notice as we just arrived here?
We've been monitoring for some time now. That's why we wanted to come and see it, feel it for ourselves, and stop it. Because we can't continue. We are going to institute investigations into all this to make sure the figures they are giving us is correct. Okay. And by extrapolation, then we know that they are depleting. You see, that's another vehicle.
But Honorable, what does this say? Because, I mean, you cannot be here every day to monitor yourself. There are officers here.
You've seen there are officers there. We are supposed to have people here who are protecting the landscape to make sure we protect the lake. But very disappointing results. The guy must stop. He should stop.
Honorable, clear dereliction of duty, at least on the surface. That's what we've seen in the past couple of minutes.
This a couple of minutes. We are going to investigate. We should get to the bottom of this. People are at the gates. How did these trucks come in? We should know. Driver, Sifombra, Obi Oho tu, no matter tonto esan 180 Ghana. Unim say wrong so beba ha. High security zone. Unim say. And then me catch her until the akutu no besan de akogu ho. It's here. We'll wash back into the lake.
Our understanding is that this washes right into the lake, making it even more difficult to treat. I'm correct?
It's true.
Yeah. Increases the turbidity.
Yes. It adds up to the turbidity.
Okay.
That we don't want to be high. And this is illegal mining of what? Sand and stones. That's what they are doing here.
Now, the team seized an excavator which was caught on site filling up articulated tracks. But the owner of the machine, an estate developer who identified himself as Akins, claimed he had the clearance of the chiefs and local authorities in the area.
Oh yes, assembly now me call you know. Any permission passage, but ono mame letter. Notice what I was because some there event.
Letter and then no.
Chirasa ye kwan na free link to agape down. Assembly movie. Yeah, assembly movie. Assembly member. Away.
One sign letter no.
Signature no. Assemblyman
I went to the assembly and the assemblyman gave me a letter noticing the waterworks. The signature was quoted through the assembly. Even though it isn't the MC's signature, he was in the know. That is why he authorized the assemblyman to write the letter. I have the backing of the chiefs, and so it is only reasonable that I construct the road. I sell a trip for 180 Ghana cedis and share the proceeds with the chiefs.
Oh, and the man can't try and boy because and I'm just say I him for mammy hokwan. Sir, I him for no dear. Land fee no convenient, and I come to diesel and I'm the power machine.
Okay, until we get 180 now, they're saying I for they're saying.
And Ukrainian, sir, 180 no send me calculate car me won't cry 20 Ghana. I'm telling you.
So this was strongly resisted by officials of the Ghana Water Company Limited. Listen to the managing director of the company, Dr. Clifford Brima.
Without sending it to me, and you said I've received it, go and bring a copy that my office has stamped. Stop it. Chiefs don't do road. I said chiefs don't do road. Assemblies don't do road. They should go and tell highways and ministries, approach it. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not just targeting the... I brought the minister here because it's gone past us. And so the minister should take it up. It becomes a cabinet decision. I don't sit in cabinet. And so there are certain decisions that I'm limited. All I can do is to forward it to the ministry. And the minister has come. Now he has sent it. He's taking a cabinet posture. Government paid compensation for this land. If the compensation is not adequate, it's not road they come to do. They come and ask for a review. That's all.
But have you been aware of the district workings with the people here?
No, we are not aware. That's what I'm telling my people. They shouldn't limit them because they do not speak for Ghana Water Company. I speak for Ghana Water Company. So if they come to them, they should better direct them to me. And if they say they've written a letter to me and I have received it, they should collect the letter and see whether my stamp is on it.
So you are more culpable than even him because your men are on ground every day and they allow them to do it.
We are going to the military camp, so you can ask them why there is a military post and people can pass through. What will I be able to do?
Why not ask you? Your people are here, you supervise them.
Because I cannot do it alone, that's why I went to National Security and they deployed military people here. And there's a military post. So let's go to them.
That deployment has been useless, obviously.
So, am I the commander? No. So let's go and speak.
So how did the alleged intruders get access to this heavily guarded buffer zone right under the supervision of the Ghana Water Company Limited? Let's speak to the public relations manager of the company, Stanley Mate. He joins us via phone. Mr. Mate, thank you for your time here on Join This Prime. How long have you known about this situation at Weija? And why have you allowed this illegality to continue all this while?
Yeah, I don't think we have allowed that to continue. And there are processes to everything. I mean, we are not a lawless country. We are not a lawless institution. So whatever we have to do, we need to go through a channel that's expected of us. And that's exactly what we're doing. We have spoken with the District Assembly. It never worked. Even the guards that we have at the place, I don't know what happened, but they still allow the trucks to use the access road within the place. So We have taken it a step further, and that is why we have reversed with our minister, reported to our ministry, so the minister went there to see for herself, and then the necessary action will be taken at that level. And so it's beyond us. I mean, we don't have the mandate, we don't have the wherewithal to fight these people. Even with military men around, they are able to penetrate things. So what can we do when we don't have the mandate to do so?
But Mr. Martin, this is very difficult to understand. I mean, these are huge tracks. They couldn't have been hidden. They must have had the backing of your men on site at least.
Like I'm saying, our men on site do not also have the power and the authority to stop them. Okay, because what we can do is to report to the appropriate institutions so that they do their work. And that we have done. And even with the military presence, they were still using the access road. And so we've taken it a step further so that to have a ministerial attention. Now the Ministry of Interior will come in, other ministries will also come in. And then we'll have the highest authority to rule on it. And then it ends there. So for us, we are following due process to ensure that the right things are done.
And we've cited this letter the people purport was given to them, and they claim that the Ghana Water Company is in the know of their actions. I don't know if you've seen this.
Did they give you a copy of that letter?
Yeah, we have a copy of that letter.
You have a copy of that letter?
Yes.
Okay, so we assess the authenticity of the letter, and then we'll take it up from there. But the minister has invited all parties to meet with her. So investigations, we'll have investigations into the issue, and we'll see whether it is authentic or not.
Mr. Martin, thank you for your time here on Joy News Prime. That's the Public Relations Manager for the Ghana Water Company Limited, Stanley Martin. You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Mindo. Still to come, growing agitations with threats of violence spreading across the country as nominations close for the NPP's polling station elections.
Receive a lot of petitions from some of the constituencies and concerns. Like we don't get forms, we are looking for forms and stuff.
We'll be live in Yendi for the latest, and also here on Joy News Prime. Victims and survivors of the January 20 disaster demand timelines for the completion of their new homes as the rainy season approaches. We have details after the break. Stay with us.
It's time for business. I'm Charles Aite. The Bank of Ghana has directed commercial banks to extend loan repayment reliefs to retail and business clients to the end of this year. This was contained in a letter to the banks and deposit-taking institutions cited by Joy Business, of which we have more in this report.
The Bank of Ghana, in the letter to the commercial banks and specialized deposit-taking institutions, noted that the move was influenced by the assessment of the COVID-19 situation and implementation of credit-to-payment reliefs on loans. It was, however, quick to add that the central bank will undertake assessment of the extension on the financial sector, which is aimed at ensuring that the policy objectives of this action is achieved. The loan repayment moratorium introduced in August last year was meant to give some space to the commercial banks to aid credit extension to businesses due to the COVID-19 situation. It was also meant to freeze those strict reporting requirements for commercial banks when it comes to the provision of loans. This is because the pandemic had made it difficult for loans disbursed to be paid back on time, a move that was hurting the commercial banks badly, which had in turn affected loan disbursements in the country. Based on this extension, banks will from the next 11 months not be subjected to those strict credit requirements by the regulator in terms of how they treat loans disbursed and report them in their books. It is believed that this move would help deal with the slowdown in loans in the country, which, if it should pick up in the coming months, may help in the recovery of the economy.
Meanwhile, banking consultant Anoto Champon has described this particular move as critical in supporting businesses and the recovery of the Ghanaian economy.
That the impact will be positive for businesses. Now, the original moratorium, which had expired, was able to assist. But as you know, the industry that was most affected was the hospitality industry. Now, in December, we saw that they were gradually picking up. But the development in the world economies, which is inflation going up and all that, appears to be impacting negatively on that sector again. So the extension is welcoming news, and hopefully it should help them to restructure, to re-strategize, and move on.
Away from that, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, which is Geoffrey Grant, has said Ghana has enough capacity to add value to its cocoa production. According to him, investors are willing to aid in that quest to support and expand the cocoa production value chain. We have more in this report.
CEO of the GIPC, Geoffrey Grant, at a summit on the business of chocolate, said the expected investment volume for the sector is large, thus the need to push for more value addition to cocoa beans before export. He explained that Ghana has what it takes to attract more investors in the sector for high returns.
That we should be exporting our cocoa beans, we should be adding value to it. And I did say that the cocoa, selling the beans alone every year gives us only some 2 billion. Between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, maybe a top 6 to 8 billion a year. But if you look at the chocolate industry, which is estimated to grow to 160 billion in 2022, if the group that produces 67% of the beans are nowhere in that equation, then there seems to be a little imbalance. And it's important, therefore, for us to add more value to our cocoa.
Mr. Grant further called on financial agencies to partner with the Cocoa Board for a fund that will support cocoa production value chain.
I am sure the financial agencies who are here could easily work with Cocoa Board to come up with a fund that would invest in adding value to our cocoa. I believe that the returns will be immense. Even private sector can put money in such a fund to add value to cocoa and export.
Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Akwesi Agyeman, said cocoa production should be economically viable to those involved in the value chain.
What we are doing is to try and bring everybody within the value chain together. And the question is, how do we keep the momentum going? How do we have a sustained demand for products and a sustained supply of the products? What is lacking within the space? For example, for consumers, what are we looking out for? For distributors, what will make the products more distributable, if I should put it that way. And for producers, what is it that they need? And that's why we have funding partners like Exim Bank, GA and the rest here, so that together we can look at the business of chocolate. We know that it has value health-wise, but we need to make it economically viable for everybody within the value chain.
The summit on the business of chocolate is also under the umbrella of the Ghana Cares of Batampa program that seeks to promote and support local businesses in the cocoa value chain amidst COVID-19 challenges.
That'll be all for business, but we have sports coming up. Do stay with us.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the Joy News Prime with me, Oreku Wampofo. Now, FIFA has revised the dates for next month's World Cup Qatar 2022 playoff matches between Ghana and Nigeria. The fixture, which was originally scheduled for Thursday, March 24th and Sunday, March 27th, has been moved to Friday, March 25th and Tuesday, March 29th. The first leg will take place at the Cape Coast Stadium, whereas the second leg takes place at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. The winner of the tie will represent the continent at the World Football Showpiece, which takes place in Qatar from November 21st to December 18th later this year. Let's do some more stories where it's been 18 years since a Ghanaian club won at CAF Interclub competition. The 2004 CAF Confederations Cup final saw Heart-of-Oak and Asante Kotoko face-off. However, Ghanaian clubs have been on a downward spiral in African football ever since. This season, for instance, no club from Ghana is participating in the group stages of Africa's elite competitions. Head coach of Al Ahly, in an exclusive interview with Joy Sports, reviewed steps that have to be taken to ensure Ghana's top two clubs thrive in Africa again.
But what surprises me, where is the Porcupine Warriors? Where are they, guys? They used to They used to everybody. Where's phobia? Where are those teams, guys? You know the derby of the phobias and the Porcupine Warriors. You know the derby. The streets are closed. Where are those teams in the Champions League, guys? I mean, really? Are we serious? Where's the top talent? What's happening? You must tell me what's happening. But you need to have an organized league. You need to have TV on the league. You need to have fixtures right. But you need also to improve the stadia. Also, the stadia, I know it's not easy because it's the economy of the country or whatever. But proper, smaller, decent stadiums, and look after the pitches. And also, let's pay the players a little bit. Let's make sure that there's an interest. Players have to play have to be willing to play. And let's create the vibe. Let's bring it back. And we will come back in the Champions League. And by the way, you've got a lot of guys in Ghana who've got a lot of money. Put money on the game. Bring good players to Ghana. Take them from other countries. Develop your own, because you had so much academies. Let the referees be good. I've seen some of the one video which was not right about the referee who was manhandled in the country. I mean, I think you've seen that. Yeah, that's not nice. You don't need that. That doesn't give credit to television and your sponsors and all that, you know, and improve the game. I would love to come to Ghana to watch that derby, but next time, inshallah, next time I'll get an opportunity to watch the derby, because I know what that derby means. I saw the legend is back playing for Hearts of Oak.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, what a midfielder! What a midfielder, guys! What a midfielder! I mean, a pleasure to watch Muntari play, guys.
Well, the Super Clash on Sunday has still got fans talking, especially on social media. But interestingly, most of the discourse hasn't been on the game itself. Fans have been engaging on a banter between both coaches, which seems to have been sparked by Kotoko coach Prosper Nate after the game. Here's a report by my colleague Kweku Lawrence explaining the timeline of events.
The stage was set at the Accra Sports Stadium as fans trooped in to witness the biggest game of Ghana's football calendar. In what can be described as an anticlimax, saw 90 minutes of no goals between Hearts of Oak and Asante Kotoko. For both teams, it's as you were as Kotoko maintained a 12-point lead over rivals Hearts heading into the second round. After the below-par performance at the Accra Sports Stadium, the post-match presser from both Samuel Boadu and Prosper Ogumnate looked to have overshadowed the unconvincing display by both teams, with fans taking keen interest in the comments of the coaches rather than their team's performance. While Hearts fans feel disrespected by Nati, Kotoko supporters also hold the same view with the comments made by Boadu. These comments by Nati started the war of words between the two coaches.
So, what I would say is that because of the way we are playing better, it gave our opponents that information that they have to step up their game. I'm sure you all attest to the fact that they've never played this way before in the league. I stand for correction though, and with all due respect to them, and respect has to go. But look at
Boadu also responded in the condescending manner, suggesting Kotoko can't beat his youth side.
The best game against Legon Cities. This is not a game, right? If I'm using the junior team for us, Kotoko cannot score me.
Despite spectators being hard done by the poor showing by both teams over the weekend, the banter between coaches have played a part in the game being regarded as the Super Clash. All eyes will be on the Baba Yara Sports Stadium when these two sides lock horns again in the second round of the league.
Now, before we wrap up here, news is coming in earlier. Andre Ayew, who's the Ghana captain, has won his first league title with Al Sadd in the Qatari Super League. Now, he did so, scoring 2 goals in their win today, an 8-2 victory, very convincing performance, ensuring that his side, Al Sadd, win the league title with 4 games to spare. If you do want some more sports stories, you can check myjoyonline/sports, or you can follow us on social media at Joy Sports GH. My name is Oreku Wampo.
Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. It's now time for Showbiz, and Becky is here. Hello, Becky.
Hello to you, Ernest.
How are you doing?
I'm fantastic.
And I see that medical is in the trends.
Yeah, and that's because
the rapper Samuel Edu Frimpong, popularly known as Medical, he has been convicted by an Accra Circuit Court. This was after the rapper pledged guilty to the charge of unlawful public display of arms. The court, presided by His Lordship Emmanuel Isando, after the guilty plea sentenced Medical to 300 penalty units. This amounts to 3,600 cedis. Twitter and all of that. But let's move away from Medical. Let's talk about the e-levy conversation that has been ongoing.
Who else is speaking about it?
Cartel Big J. He's a member of the Prior Group. He says that he's in full support of the whole e-levy thing, and so everybody must support it. Take on the e-levy conversation that has been going on.
Well, I think taxes. I travel a lot. I do a lot of traveling, and most of the things that I'm buying, most of the things I'm doing, I'm enjoying Europe. We enjoy Europe and other places that taxes are being enforced there. We enjoy all these are being paid by taxes. Have been financed projects and things. All the beautiful things we enjoy abroad. It's based on finances. UK especially, tax is everything for UK. Everything is being you are built, even the road you are driving on, everything, your car, everything is being charged. So
okay.
Well, that's
so he wants us to pay.
Yeah. So for those of you who, well,
that's Prioritatia, by the way.
That's Prioritatia. Let's talk about Madea before we. After 3 years, Madea is coming back. That's according to Tyler Perry.
Tyler's not tired.
No. Here is the reason why he's coming back with Madea.
All right. So for those of you who are looking forward to Madea,
I am looking forward to it.
Stand by. Becky, thank you very much for bringing us showbiz. And if you're watching us on Joy Prime, that's it for the bulletin. Many thanks for your company. If you're enjoying news, we have more stories for you. Please stay with us. Now, Chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education, Josephine Nkrumah, has resigned her position to take up a new role as ECOWAS ambassador to Liberia. Her resignation will take effect from April 30. At the Jubilee House to formally tender in her resignation, Madam Nkrumah appealed for the President's support in the discharge of her new role.
I think a few weeks ago, I came to see you about an offer with ECOWAS. I sought your blessings before I made a final decision on whether or not I take up that offer. You graciously gave me some wise words and asked me if I thought through what the decision I was going to make, and I said yes. Following that conversation, certain processes have gone on, and as we speak, I just offered my letter of acceptance to ECOWAS to be the ECOWAS ambassador to Liberia with a duty post in Monrovia. As the father of the land, as the appointing authority, I deem it necessary to come and see you and officially tender in my resignation, which will take effect on the 30th of April. So in a nutshell, that is why I'm here.
First of all, Madam Chair, you're very welcome. You're not a stranger to these premises, so it's good to have you back here again. Very momentous news. First of all, let me congratulate you. This is a job you sought, you've been given, and all the formalities are over now. Yeah, including Liberia, they've agreed, and all of those formalities are concluded. Okay, and you received a formal appointment from ECOWAS.
Yes, I have.
I see. Wow. So the first thing is it's in order. Congratulations. Very much to you. Yeah, we've been together here for the last 5 years and seeing the quality of the work that you have done. I have no doubt that this is a job you're going to go and do and bring credit to yourself and to us, your country, Ghana.
Now, Yendis, the latest constituency to witness chaos as the New Patriotic Party's deadline for picking nomination forms nears expiration. Chairman of the party in the constituency accuses the NP, Farouk Ali Mahama, of hoarding forms and preventing interested candidates from picking them. The constituency is part of a host of other constituencies which have been marred by various controversies. Let's take you around the country. Let's first stop at Yendi, where correspondent Martina Bugri has been following the issue. She joins us on the line. Martina, paint a picture of the situation there for us.
We are told that the situation is creating some tension in the constituency. Party officials, the chairman, the vice chairman, and some other party executives are accusing the MP of hoarding forms meant for polling stations to be sold to polling stations, persons who are interested in contesting for that position. And so it's creating tension because they think that he wants to sell it or give it to people who are people he believes will vote for him at the end. And so they think that he wants to stop others from contesting. They believe that it's an election for the party and not an individual. And so they are fighting to have this annulled, as we are told.
In those riots, have there been any destruction of property whatsoever?
Yes, we are told that a meeting was supposed to be held today, and they had sent a circular earlier about the venue, and last night they changed the venue to a hotel in Yendi. And so when some of the executives refused to attend the meeting, so whilst the meeting was on, some youth, we are told, mobilized themselves and attacked the place and then destroyed the gate to the hotel.
Have you ever heard MP holding custody of polling stations for nomination form? I'm here with my coordinator.
Yes.
And some of polling stations today, they are all surrounded, but I made them understand that nobody should be confused or nobody should be surrounded. I'm on course. I'm the governor of Yendi when it comes to MPP.
Chairman, I'm asking if you suspect whether the MP is hoarding the forms.
The MP is in line with some people to do some committee which I will never act. What we're going to do about it is to bring the form to my table. Then the regional rep will come, sit with me and the committee. We talk about it, but not to go and sit with some few people and expecting me to
what the constituency over the filing of the polling station executives.
Let's go to the phone lines now. We're joined by the chairman of the Yendi constituency, Abubakar Sadiq. Thank you, Mr. Sadiq. I'm wondering how the forms landed in the hands of the MP. He's not an executive of the party at the constituency. He doesn't, he's not part of the administration of the party. How does the forms end up with him?
Well, good evening to our listeners and also to you, your view and my good Yendi constituency people and Ghanaians as well. In fact, I was disappointed when I heard the forms are with the MP. I kept asking questions, trying to reach him. He was nowhere to found. Until I organized a meeting, executive committee meeting, which he attended as association member, to now tell me he has handed it over back to the regional rep, who is to chair the committee.
Mr. Sadiq, just before you proceed, who is responsible for bringing down the forms to the constituency?
I know the national handed over to my regional board.
Okay.
Chairman Samba. And the regional chairman is supposed to hand over to either myself and my secretary or the regional rep to bring it down to the consensus. Even though the MP is also a member of the committee, but he cannot tend to lead me when it comes to party.
So in this case, the regional executives or the chairman in this case handed it over to the MP?
This is what I heard.
For onward transfer to you?
I wasn't there. You and I were not there, but I later heard they have returned. He told me he himself in the meeting that he has returned the form to the regional
rep. And God being so good, today, my state and the regional rep communicated, which he told me he was on his way coming to Yendi. We had a serious meeting between all elders, parties involved, that this is how we're going to handle it. And the meeting venue, I was there this morning with one of the patrons who is a rep and one elder woman I appointed to join us for the committee to form. We were here until I called back around somewhere 10, when time was over because we were to start the meeting 9 o'clock. So when I called, the regional rep told me he's in a hotel with the MP and other members, if I can join them there. So I suspect there, a foul play is going on because meeting changing venue, and I don't know as consensus chairman, and who conveys meeting. That's why the regional rep is chairing it. It comes to be under my custody. I'm the governor of Yedo. When I say governor, when it comes to party, I'm their leader, not MP.
So Mr. Sadiq, what are you going to do about this, seeing all that has transpired? A meeting held without your consent or your knowledge, the forms now, as you're telling us now, return to the regional headquarters of the party. What is your next move?
I was here when all the youth heard it that police station executive got the electoral area coordinated, and the boy was a grassroots man. If you care to know, you find out from here that you will know better. They all came and met me at the presidential lodge annex where we were to hold the meeting and asked chairman, where are they? I said, I have called the regional rep and he told me they are in a hotel, if I can join them there. If the youth were not happy and the good people, the good police station executive and the electoral area coordinator, we all marched today. In fact, when I got there, they were full of security, surrounded them in their hotel.
Well, Mr. Sadiq, we'll leave it here for now, and we'll see how this pans out. Hopefully, the issue will be resolved. We'll return to you, and we'll get an interview also. We've been trying to reach the MP who has been accused, Farouk Aliyu Mahama, but we do not have word from him yet. Once we get his side of the story, we'll bring that to you. But we know here in the Greater Accra region there have been similar concerns raised, especially in the Ningo Prampram constituency, where some party supporters marched to the constituency research officer's house to demand that they be given access to the forms. This is what happened.
Look at what they are doing. They say one man to a form. And they are here the forms there. Oh, stop what are you?
But in the Ashanti region, the election of polling station executives had been postponed to the 25th of February. The regional chairman, Bernard Ntwi-Boasiaku, says the plan is to make it easier for party members who want to run for polling station positions to participate. Ohimenteria reports.
The opening of nomination for polling station elections has been characterized by confusion and in some instances chaos, as aspirants accuse some party executives for hoarding nomination forms. Menchia North, Kwadaso, Asante Mampo and Kumawu are some of the constituencies hit with widespread confusion. But in an interview, Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP, Bernard Ntwi-Boasiaku, said challenges associated with the ongoing exercise are being addressed. According to him, additional nomination forms have been received from the national headquarters for onward distribution to the various constituency election committees. This, an extension of date for the polling station elections to February 25, 2022, will help address concerns.
I have received a lot of petitions from some of the constituencies and concerns. Like we don't get forms, we are looking for forms and stuff. So we call to the election committee people, and then they also told us, some of them said the forms that we give it to them wasn't enough. I called to National for General Secretary also to bring me some forms. The Regional Secretary, Lawyer Kwame Adumapia, at the moment, he has given a communique to all the election committee in the constituency election committee, to come to the region, to come and pick the form. So we have instructed that the Ashanti region, our polling station elections will start from 25th, so that even if we can't solve all the problem, we can solve the majority of the problem.
Meanwhile, Mr. Bernard Entwibu-Asiakon has appealed to members of the constituency election committees to give level playing field to all aspirants, as he assures of a free and fair process.
It started from about 500, 600 to 800 people in the polling station. And the NEC and the National Council give me only 25 per polling station. So what is available for me as the party, once there is no law, there's no sin. So the law that the NEC and the National Council has given to me is 25. So I'm going to make it available for them to have this 25, for them to compete there. That is why I say we will try to make it fair as much as possible for them to have it. But we are still talking to the election committee, executives in various constituencies for them to make it fair for everybody to go.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oyemi Teria reporting.
The victims of the January 20 explosion at Apiate are demanding timelines from government for the completion of their new homes as the rainy season approaches. The petition comes as government takes frantic steps to complete some 89 uncompleted structures originally created for the people of Odumase, a community sitting on the concession of a mining firm, Future Global Resources. At the Deb of Chiefs and people of Apiate Monday, some of the victims and survivors who are currently seeking refuge in tents and open halls demanded timelines for the completion of the project from the Lands and Natural Resources Minister.
We want
to know how soon the reconstruction will be completed for us to move in, because very soon the rains will set in and that could worsen our plight.
But it's due to somebody's negligence of duty.
We appeal to leadership to pay attention to those of us who owned businesses prior to the disaster by giving us the needed support to rebuild our livelihoods. We are not asking for too much. We only want the right things to be done and with some speed.
Everything totally destroyed. We pray waiting them as so on to me, and the people so actually as a result of this exploration. I don't know if something if we say measures being a reconstruction of because the forecast in this say a granite just where I would be gonna run yet. A baby baby no you are now and I stores our corner. That's the store so.
Some of us had shops and kiosks by the side of the road prior to the disaster. We appeal to governments to factor the shops in the reconstruction process and also pay attention to those who have been maimed.
Chief of the community, Nana Bremebi, was optimistic about the fortunes of the community after the reconstruction and called on the people to support the process.
President Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo say asemi ba yen ogina na so pintin na wayi mpanifo a sebe o ma dwunumu do na Apiate man ye ba be kekere ne foforo yen
Let me use this opportunity to commend the President for delegating a competent team to lead the reconstruction of our community.
Now the American say, appear to my moon, come to my yam. Now the American say, Sanya say, Yashe Accra, Gamit Miaka say, appear to Obubachi, Amayema, Atoyakumaso, appear to Bayakra Behe, Emma Ubia who say,
I have no doubt that Apiate will become a place where all of us will be proud of going forward.
And some be and Crawford free junction, the barbecue can some egu masun, and yenina na mubi diachri, na the yashan say, yenina yebinya apiati.
I also wish to commend the FGI mining firm for coming through for us at a rather difficult time.
Megina have so mada FGI mbenifo asi, yura dasimani, also asi.
Responding to the concerns of the people, the Land and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abu-Jinapor assured the people of a world-class community upon completion. The minister, however, fell short of giving timelines as demanded by the people.
Na me am tenant no be dan na be fesen ni nyina e asem papa modwuma na ye mo na ye som na so mo som wo adwuma ni biye aye nyina se ye baako e ye adwuma no na na hwe empotem ha ba bia apie.
We owe it a responsibility and a duty to rebuild this community. Let's support government's efforts. I hear some of you asking for timelines for completion of your community. It's a good thing. But if you look around Apiache and its adjoining communities, the spatial planning is not the best. What government wants to do is to build a model Ghanaian village to become a reference point for future works. So I encourage all of you to participate fully and actively to ensure the realization of this dream.
Clinic, school, refuse dump, kama. Na sabi enye krabehwa ebim betime fi baby abehwa na chenampo na aban foforo ba na sa aban foforo bi apese esi ekuro saa yebetime abehwa mu kuro yi na etimi di esi na ni nyina begina se yede mpaibo beta akire.
This is Johnny's Prime. We're taking a break. We'll be back with more. Thanks for staying with us. The mayor of Accra has ordered for the Abuja market in Adabraka to be cordoned off for investigations commenced into the fire incident which destroyed many stalls in the early hours of Monday, February 21. 2 people have been confirmed dead. Tasha Michelle has more in the following report.
Only piles of ash remain at the Abuja market in Adabraka after a fire raced through many stalls. According to some squatters, the fire started around 2 a.m. and destroyed tens of thousands of Ghana cedis worth of goods. The mayor of Accra, Elizabeth Saki, in the company of ECG, Ghana Water Company and the Ghana National Fire Service, has ordered for the area to be cordoned off to make way for investigations to commence.
For now, investigation will be going on. And I want to plead with all of you. We do not want to see any action, anything, any structure being put back here. No way. We are asking you in all humility that we do not want to see any structure, any activity going on here until the investigation is being done, and then we get the results. So, as of now, that is my instruction to all of you. And I know, being the good Ghanaian citizen, law-abiding citizens, you adhere to this call and then stay off here for the time being.
MC for Kwali Clote, Ni Ajay Taria, warned the squatters to desist from putting up any more structures in the area. He also directed those whose items were not affected by the fire to evacuate the area.
For those that their properties have been burned down, they don't have to put it back. For those that their properties are still here, we advise them to immediately look for alternative places move to, because we'll be calling off the whole place.
Some of the persons who were affected by the fire disagreed with the decision to evacuate them.
We are pleading on the government that after investigation and everything, if he can listen to us, and the mayor is also a woman, he's like a mother, so she can consider us and listen to our plea. Not that we are challenging them or we are saying that we are not going. We have stayed here for 6 to 7 years now till this disaster. So even if they sack us, since we can't go outside and force people to get what we will eat, we also move to another bush and make sure it became like this.
The officials say they are awaiting the final report from the investigations into the cause of the fire before it takes any further action on the illegal squatters under the heavy electricity load carrying pylons. Tasha Michelle's report for Joy News.
And here in the studio, I'm Ernest Minu. Thank you for your company. That's it for our bulletin. You have more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Up next is Hotline Documentary.